Here we are. We are in January already, 2022, which means 2021 is now out. We're done with it. We can leave it in the history books. Like we did our pre-conversation, Tim. You someday we're gonna be telling our kids back in 2021, the big COVID. Gonna be these old people who do that. But I'm
Yeah, I
glad
used to have we used to have Clorox wipes that sat under our sink for months and we never used them. Now you can't find them.
we used to share bowling balls, the bowling alley. Yeah, back in the day, way back. But yeah, year's it's all set, all done. So now we're starting to get our clients and our people and our friends and our viewers, whoever, ready for this year, because there's going to be some big changes that you haven't been seeing. We've been living the easy life. Let's face it. We've been living golden years because we've had low rates. We've had sellers pretty much any price on a house and letting it fly off its handles and 20 or 30 offers and above. It's been wild. And I think things are starting to come calm a little bit this year. So that's our conversation going to be today, like how to prepare yourself for this kind of mini correction. I wouldn't say it's a full-on correction if I'm speaking out of turn, kind of a mini correction, kind of a slow, gradual correction of the market.
Yeah.
Is that
There's
kind
a
of
lot of, I mean, there's so many factors.
yeah.
And it's reason why being an economist is not something that you can just do with a community college degree. It's
Yeah.
complex stuff. So, we've really experienced a huge uptick in interest rates over the last month. And it's been frustrating from a loan officer's perspective and a client consumer perspective because the rate that I quoted on Friday is gone.
Yeah.
The rate that I quoted last Monday is way gone because rates every day seem to tick up. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, yes, the Fed said that they're not only going to taper their bond purchases, but they're going to hike rates. Well, it's loosely correlated, but there's a lot of different factors that play into that because the Fed's been buying mortgage bonds with both hands for so long to try to keep rates down as our economy tries to recover, and they're kind of like, look, we are recovered. Let's from an economical perspective, let's stop buying all these mortgage bonds. And so what they're doing is they're letting their balance sheet run off. Everybody talks about how big the Fed's balance sheet is. They have trillions of dollars on their balance sheets. They're trying to let some of that run off. And what that does is it puts, bond prices start to lower, which increases mortgage rates. However, if they do start to hike rates, and this sounds counterintuitive, if they start to hike rates, that's actually good for mortgage rates. The reason is because it will curb inflation. I've spoken just ad nauseum and beaten the dead horse about inflation, how that's bad for mortgage rates. And everywhere you look, you see inflationary pressures from the fact that a loaf of bread, what that costs, and construction costs, things of that sort.
Yeah.
So if inflation is curbed by the Fed hiking rates and the market sees that inflation starts to plateau a little bit, then mortgage rates might get a little bit better. That's far down the line.
Yeah. And even then we're not talking like 8-10%. It's going to be 4s-ish, which still is a lot of affordability for first-time buyers and for buy-ups. And you're still okay if you're selling and downsizing the next 2 years and that's your plan. You're still fine.
Yeah. The last time we were in a 4%, 4.25% interest rate environment, it wasn't really even too much of a conversation, just what it was.
Yeah.
We've just been in a situation where rates have been so low for so long that there's a little bit of a sticker shock. Now, if you're somebody that got pre-qualified 6 to 8 months ago or 12 months ago, and you never found a house for whatever reason, you need to revisit that because rates now going up a full percentage, that's going to limit your buying power a little bit, which will also influence our market. There's going to be certain buyers that had a lot more buying power 6-8 months ago that now can't buy that level of house anymore. Or they put more money down. Maybe they've taken that time to save. That's why I wanted to get on here and talk about that is how can you counteract this increase in interest rates? Save a little bit more money, put some more money down, buy down your interest rate, do some things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're a lot of people are still kind of waiting on. I've gotten a few people that are ready to downsize and move down, and I'm starting to have that conversation about days on market getting a little higher because there's a little bit more inventory, or there's some houses that need a little bit of updating. So we have a lot of young buyers that are fairly handy. They can go into something that just needs like some carpet and some paint and things. Those houses are sitting on the market a little longer. You get a little more flexibility. You might be maybe even a little bit of closing out. Like we haven't seen that in the last 2 years. That's also beneficial, right? You get some people that might be able to get a little bit of help and not need as much money down. And we're starting to see some of those as those days on market creep up a little bit there as well. So,
I've seen some big seller credits in the last 2 weeks that the
yep.
contract came over and I go, wow. And I actually commended Tori on your team on one of hers. I said, you go, girl. You got this big closing help for your client. That's pretty cool. So it's something that we used to
Yeah.
expect it.
Yeah.
3-4 years ago, every buyer I worked with was getting closing help. And then it went away for so long that now when you see it, it's jarring because
It
you're not
is.
used to it.
Well, we're also getting some people that are getting a little closing help in the sense that the house needs a little bit of love, right? So, like I said before, my example of a lot of downsizers, we're starting to get a lot of downsizers even yet because they're retirement dish and they're packing it in. If it needs new carpet and new stuff, like, and I'm not going to do that. I've lived in this house forever. I'm not doing a new kitchen or I'm not doing a new flooring. We'll give allowance or we'll give a little extra closing help and let the new people choose what colors, choose whatever they want to do. So buyers might get a little bit of leverage. I'm not going to tell you that you have all this push in the world, but you might have a little bit more than you did last year and the year before. You might be able to get, a little bit of help with new carpeting or maybe, some painting or, updating that kitchen, things like that. You might start seeing a little bit of that and give you a little more control and more flexibility in the market.
I just had a conversation with somebody this morning after a not so favorable home inspection that they were very close to pulling out. And I talked to the realtor about what the issues were that they were going to walk away from. And they weren't detrimental. They were kind of, preferential items that, would pass on an appraisal, and the bones of the house were good. It's kind of what they wanted. They just got spooked a little bit.
Yeah.
These clients were putting $30,000 down. And I said, why don't we cut that in half to 15? You save that other 15.
Yep.
And the difference in payment between putting 30 grand down and 15 grand down is $75 a month. $15,000 in your pocket or $75 a month. I mean, it's almost a no brainer. Then you have the money to do all these upgrades. So, they may not still want to do that, but there's a very pragmatic way to look at these things from a numbers perspective.
Now, I'm sure you're seeing the number of people like refi buyouts and things slow down a little bit as well. Are you getting any people
cash outs?
Cash outs.
The cash outs are still heavy now, right now.
They still are.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy, the influx. It might be more of a New Year's resolution. Hey, I want to redo my kitchen this year.
Yeah.
Where they say, this is my opportunity to take the cash and do it. I have one guy that he bought, I think in 2015, an old client of mine. And at the time he was at 3.875 and he slept on it and slept on it and slept on it. He could have refied last year, the year before, but now he's at a point where he wants some money to redo his kitchen. So he's going from 3.875 to, I think, 3.625, but he's getting that money still the cheapest you can find it. It's cheaper than a home equity, a home improvement loan, a personal loan, credit cards, that kind of stuff. So it's still something that's worth it because it's still, and when you compare it to other ways to borrow money, it's still the cheapest.
All right. So, and I'm going to ask you this question too, because I'm getting it a lot to put you on the spot. We're getting people that are like, well, if I cash out, the value of my house will now be X amount of dollars. Will the market sustain? I'm seeing like the crash of 2008 and people are talking about that a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about how you believe maybe the values should hold still based on your lending side?
Once again, a conversation I just had yesterday, a text with somebody. They said, what if the market crashes? Do you see any concern with us going backwards in equity? There's one thing that I can say about that is if you're taking cash against your equity and doing a cash out refi to upgrade your property, well, you're going backwards in equity from off the bat, but when you upgrade it, then your house can be worth more. So that is a wash. In terms of the market crashing, and I've spoken about this before, we are writing good loans right now. Most of them are 30-year fixed, or, if you're shorter term, 15, 20, 30, but we're all doing fixed rate loans, no adjustables, no balloon payments. People aren't doing interest only loans where they can negatively amortize. So they're good loans to credit worthy individuals. We're not doing those really, really bad loans that were being done from '06 to '08, where these people really shouldn't have been buying houses. So that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is the inventory, and that's kind of where you can speak about it. Is we have a ton more, a whole lot more qualified home buyers that are ready, that have money and that want to buy a house, and it's very competitive. And we have a whole lot less inventory. Back in '08, there were millions of houses on the market, tens of millions. So that's low inventory, high demand. It's almost impossible for there to be a crash. There might be a little bit of a plateau or correction, but it's almost impossible for there to be a crash when you're writing good loans. Everyone has pretty much a fixed rate where you just make your mortgage payment and eventually it'll be paid off. And there's low inventory. So it's something that most people should not be concerned with, whether you're buying or refining, honestly.
Okay. That's good, because that's kind of, that repeats what I've been telling my clients and the people that I've been asking as well. But it's better to hear from a lender who does the loans and you're in it every single day. So we appreciate that input and to back up what I've been preaching to my people as well.
And foreclosure rates are so low. There are some people that says, well, I'm just going to wait for the market to crash and for some foreclosures to come into play. The foreclosure rate is, I mean, I don't have it in front of me because I haven't seen it in a while. It is ridiculously low right now.
Not only is it low, but in that scenario, you're definitely competing with investors who are sitting on mounds of cash right now and are just looking to gobble up stuff. I mean, I've sat down with this year, it's what, the 18th, at least 3 people with cash. Like, I'm ready to go. You find me something. And I'm like, I will if I can. I don't know if I can though. So if you're trying to get a loan and you're waiting for foreclosures, you're going to get outbid. People roll in there with cash and just beat you out.
Right.
So maybe not a good plan A, maybe a plan C, plan D, but maybe not plan A.
Well, I understand why someone would want to ask you about that, because they hear coworkers and family members go, I bought my house in 2014 and it was a foreclosure, and then I sold it and I made 150 grand, that kind of stuff. It's just, it's in the rear view.
You get something that's dated, right? Something that's been in an established neighborhood for a while, like built in the 80s and early 90s, and just get into something that's a little dated. That's better than foreclosures right now for buyers. If you're an investor or whatnot, that's a different conversation. But if you're a buyer, first-time buyer, second-time buyer, buy up, get something that's a little dated. You're fine. Well,
what did you say the other day? You said real estate's all about timing.
It is.
If you wait long enough, it's impossible for you to end up underwater. You just have to, if it's not the time to sell, you stay in it, you keep paying the mortgage principal down, and eventually it'll be the time. So that is an environment where there's a lot of fixed rate loans. A majority are fixed rate loans.
And their payments aren't changing. Unless you refi, buy, cash out, all that stuff. But yeah, your rate's not changing. If you can afford it now, you can afford it down the road. It's not changing very much unless your job or situation changes. But it's a constant variable, like what to count on.
Or consolidating high interest debt. If you have a big, tens of thousands of dollars on credit cards, you might even go laterally with your interest rate and say, I'll keep the same rate or have a higher mortgage rate. But when you compare that to what credit cards are, and some people get into trouble, it's a slippery slope, and then it's hard to claw out of. So that is a powerful tool. Your home equity is a powerful tool to get you kind of a bailout loan almost. But it will really give you more financial freedom to lock into even a cash out rate that's in the high 3s or low 4s, if God forbid. Credit card interest rates, we know how high those are. So that's another tool that we're using a lot right now, is debt consolidation and home improvements, for sure.
That's awesome. You got some charts for us today. Is that right?
Yeah. I just want to show people nerdy mortgage charts, just so you're not hearing it from me, what rates are doing. And there's, I can kind of show you what the mortgage bond market is doing. So this is over the last month. Let me see if I can share this real quick.
Let's do share screen here because we practice. Okay. There it is. We're good.
So this is the last month in mortgage bonds. Red, bad, green, good, as everybody knows. If you're not colorblind. But and the lower the bond price, the higher mortgage rates are. Okay. So this is what's happened since before Christmas, is we have this downward trend in mortgage bonds. Okay. And as this comes down, mortgage rates are going to go up. Okay, so that's this last month. This is the last quarter. So last fall, when you got pre-qualified and you never found a house, this is what has now happened to interest rates. Rates aren't going down, bond prices are going down, which pushes mortgage rates up. Now let's look at the 10-year treasury, which kind of shows the same trajectory that you're thinking in mortgage rates, which is them going up. The price on a 10-year treasury going up is bad for interest rates. So same trend. This was the 10-year treasury, rates were good. Down here, treasury goes up, mortgage rates go up. So that's the trend. It's not correct. It's not perfectly correlated, but when you talk about a long-term trend, if the 10-year treasury increases in terms of price, so do mortgage rates. So this is today. I mean, we're down 48 basis points, which is a huge, that's a huge loss in the bond market today, just today. And we got an alert to lock, which an alert to lock basically means you better lock your price or you're going to lose it. So just wanted to share that with you guys, that there's a method behind this, and it's all has to do with mortgage bonds. And the reason why they're going down is the fact that the Fed is not purchasing them with both hands and artificially stimulating that. It needed to happen, from an economical perspective. The Fed just can't keep spending money. They have to limit their balance sheet. So this is their way of starting that.
That's awesome. Good information. And let's do January 18th, 2022. So that way we were like, oh, Tim said, nope, January 18th, we have it in video. We're covered.
Yeah. It's man, even at Thanksgiving, you get the, hey, what are rates doing?
Hey, what are rates doing?
I go, well, I can only tell you what they did yesterday. Yeah. I can't tell you what they're going to do tomorrow because there's so many factors. We can just kind of tell you what we read and where the trend is. But I'm not, I'm not a weather forecaster.
No, you'd be wrong all the time if you're the weather forecaster. Referees and weather forecasters can't be more wrong.
Well, that's why I'm not held to those predictions like weather forecasters are.
But that's good. So, and this is all, we do this every month, and then we do this all in the name of trying to help our listeners just plan and get ready and not panic. When you're educated and you understand how the things are going and where they're headed and why it's happening, then you don't panic. Then you're a planner. You're not a panicker. So to know that the rates are going up slightly, again, don't panic. You're going to be in the 4s more than likely. It's going to slowly go up. It's not going to just overnight be 9%. It's fine. Still look for the house that you want that fits your life. Don't rush into something. If you're fairly handy, maybe get a little bit of leverage. Keep that in mind as well. Like maybe look for something a little bit dated, maybe not all the bells and whistles to build that equity if you want to, or if you don't have time for bells or repairs and you do want bells and whistles, know you can pay down points. You may be able to cash out someday in a couple of years down the road, whatever you need to do. Like you have options, but just sit down and keep listening to what we're saying because we're just an unbiased source of the market. Like we don't have any skin in the game, to be honest with you. We want you as a viewer to do the right thing and get prepared for what fits your life best.
And also it's my job as your loan officer to continue to monitor your loan. Rates are going to fluctuate in the next few years. So if you buy this year and the rate's higher than what you expected because they've gone up, well, I'll continue to monitor it over the next few years. And when there's an opportunity, it's very rare that somebody stays in the same loan for 30 years straight. I mean, there's people refi to take cash out, and then they refi to get a shorter term. They get aggressive, and then they go, you know what, that shorter term, let me go back to 30. It happens all the time. Not necessarily that you want to get into a house already thinking about refinancing, but just know that it's something that we will monitor for you.
Yeah. Shoot, I mean, I've been in this house for 6 years now, and I think I refied 3 times now.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many reasons why you would do that. Rates being low isn't the only reason why. So
we've done some clever things with the money that we've been able to refinance. We've been able to build our assets, which is always
called leveraging an asset. And your home, your primary residence is a huge asset for sure.
And now that I refinance just now, I'm gonna hold on for the next 30 years. I'm done, right?
There you go.
I'm gonna live here and maybe we'll put that as strong maybe. You know what though? I won't be 30 because I make extra payments. So it's going to be more like 20-ish. I make that one extra payment a year. So
I I kind of carved out my own 15-year amortization. So I took out a 30 when I bought my house, and I put enough per month towards it to try to pay it off in 15 years. But the benefit to that is if things get tight, I can fall back on
Go
that
back
30-year
to
fix and then maybe pay it off in 17 years because I skipped some extra, principal for a few months. So that's, people want to talk about different terms. I understand being aggressive, but do exactly what Billy and I do. Lock into the lowest payment you can and put more towards principal when you can. It
make
gives
your
you
own
the most
payment,
flexibility.
make your own
Exactly.
schedule, make your own.
Yep.
Yeah, make it work for you. This is your asset. Make it work for you. I mean, it's also a home and it's a place to raise a family and it's got emotional attachment, but it also is an asset. This is a way to, save up for retirement. And it's a way to, we have so many sellers this year that they have taken advantage of their assets and now they sold and moved on somewhere else, Florida, Delaware, condo, townhouse. Like you name it. People in the last 2 years have done it in regards to, selling the house that they've lived in all these years and making the most out of it.
Absolutely.
So it's been fun.
Really good information. This is valuable, I think, for people. So I hope they watch the whole thing. This
Plus we
is,
have charts
I
and
think,
stuff. Is that, you're setting the
charts
bar
are
for
cool.
charts now, though. We're gonna have to have charts like every time now.
I
So
get that
I'm
chart
not
every
very good
day.
at
I can
charts.
show you, but it's hopefully we don't have as much severe movement. I mean, those
Yeah.
red candlesticks are frightening. I hate seeing those.
I'm not as good at charts. I could do interpretive dance. How's that? Can I do an interpretive dance of what the market looks like instead
I'm
of?
thinking of Will Ferrell in Old School with the ribbons. That's what I'm thinking right now. So
These
funny.
what the rates look like. Perfect. All right, sir. As always, we appreciate your time and help, and we're going to share this thing out and help as many people as we can. If you ever have any questions, you can find Tim everywhere on social media, email. What new website? What's your new website?
Loanswithtim.com. It's brand new. I love it. I'm kind of obsessed with it. So please visit loanswithtim.com. Good stuff on there.
So yeah, easy to get a hold of him. Super easy to get a hold of me. I'm everywhere out and about, social media, Billy Realtor, email, website, everywhere. And if you can't get a hold of me, I'm not doing my job. So find me, ask questions. We're always asked to answer the questions. Even if you're working, whatever situation is, if you're not even looking in the market to buy or sell right now, we will definitely send you in the right direction, give you whatever information you need to help you get ready. We're not.
Even if it's, you need a recommendation for a good porter or double IPA, Billy's your guy.
I could do that. I could definitely do that. It's coming up soon. Actually, what's funny is this weekend we bought for my brother a brew your own beer experience. So he went up to Chesapeake, took 2 days, got to brew his own beer, and this weekend is the release. So we get to go up and try his beer.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let me know how it is.
Yeah, it's not a bad it's a fun little experience because when you go to this place, it's got a wall full of like all the beers that the people have come in and made, and there's a whole wall of them because you get to name it, you get your own picture, you get your own tap handle, you get to it's pretty cool. It's fun.
Slammin' Salmons.
He named his crap, Valley of Darkness.
Valley of Darkness. Is that
Yeah.
because Gonzaga lost the national championship?
No, because it's a black IPA, and Valley of Darkness is from Pulp Fiction. That's part of Samuel Jackson's speech. That's the psalm that he reads off before he does people.
I can respect that. I can respect that.
Like, that's a pretty cool quote. That was clever.
I love it, man. Well,
Right,
we
man,
digress every time.
We'll hit you up again next month at the very earliest. I'm sure we'll see you before then. I'm glad your family is doing more healthy and everybody's coming back to normal. We will be, as a society, back to normal-ish. New normal here, hopefully soon in this year. Might be the year.
That's right. We'll see you next month. Thanks for having me on again.
As always, man. As always.